Why do you think he's picked these people? Like the entire length of the campaign, basically, the whole idea was Trump was going to be the person who was going to bring peace to these regions. Um, they were like, look, the Ukraine war would have never started if I had been in charge. The Israelis and the Palestinians had at least agreed ceasefire. They had the Abraham Accords. So it was at least like temporary peace. He was like, look, I'm going to bring this all back. Why has he not appointed people who seem hell bent on the opposite?
Well, you're familiar with the concept of net present value, okay, in finance.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you what the net present value of 30 pieces of silver is. If you take 30 pieces of silver 2,000 years ago, the net present value today is $454 million. Now, how do I know that? Well, $454 million just happens to be the size of the fine in the civil case against Trump and his organization in New York. And what most people have missed is the judge in that case required Trump to put up 100% of the bond in advance of an appeal. If he couldn't put up with the money, he didn't get to appeal it. Now, it's been downplayed in the media. Certainly go back to what I said about the media lies about everything. The New York Supreme Court has actually heard the appeal. And when you watch the questions and answers from the various judges on the panel, it's clear that they think that the case in New York was total bullshit. And of course, it was total bullshit. But the judge was really slick. By ordering the fine to be paid in advance of the appeal, he thought he was killing Trump's ability to appeal. Mm-hmm. But Trump didn't have the money. Didn't have $454 million in cash. Mm. Who came up with the money?
Oh, that's a good question. Who did come up with the money? I have no idea.
Well, if the payoff is these idiots that he just recommended as Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, and Ambassador to the UN and Ambassador to Israel is any clue, I can tell you what religion it was. I don't know who the individual is. I can just say who bought and paid for Donald Trump and who now owns Donald Trump. And that's the scariest thing I've ever heard. Wow. Okay, there's no question. Everybody in the United States who is aware, anybody over the age of 15 in the United States knows that AIPAC controls Washington. Okay, there is one United States representative who does not have an AIPAC monitor, and that's Massey from Tennessee. And AIPAC went to him and said, look, we're giving an unlimited amount of money for your re-election campaign. All you have to do is sign this document. You sign this document and you agree to vote the way we tell you. And Massey told him to take a hike. He's the only representative who did that. And AIPAC actually brags about the fact that the people who are anti-AIPAC, they paid for opponents and they won all the elections for the opponents. So the incredible thing is AIPAC brags about owning Congress, and they do own Congress, and now somebody owns Donald Trump. So the net present value of 30 pieces of silver is exactly $454 million 2,000 years later.
454 million. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but that's horrifying that they can just buy all of these picks, because I was quite hopeful that we wouldn't get a bunch of neocons.
Oh, we not only got a bunch of Yukons, we got the crazies. I'm going to say something, and feel free to disagree if for any reason you do.
Okay.
You can go to any mosque in the world, or synagogue, or church, whether it's Mormon, whether it's Catholic, whether it's Baptist, whether it's Jewish, doesn't make any difference. You can go into any house of worship in the world, and there's a few crazies. Okay? And the one rule is you never give guns to the crazies. Okay? We got to accept the fact that there are crazies in the world and religion tends to attract them. Don't give guns to the crazies. And Donald Trump has just handed nuclear weapons to the crazies. These people make the neocons look sane.
I was feeling a little bit more hopeful with Trump being in and yeah.
Well, you want the good news? There is good news. I'll tell you the good news.
Okay, what's the good news?
Okay, I'm going to describe what really happened. Okay, this was not a conflict between Harris and Trump. Okay, ignore that. That's bullshit. The American people are sick and tired of the woke bullshit, the COVID bullshit, the 6'3" male swimmers who put on a swimsuit, grow their hair long, and want to compete against female swimmers. They're sick and tired of ESG. They're sick and tired of DEI. And they're sick and tired of the entire political arena. And the candidate who represented that was Trump. Now, what Trump doesn't understand is that those people are still out there and they're still pissed and they're quite prepared to take action. What I see him doing is leading up to a revolution, not a civil war, but an absolute revolution. This election was a revolution all by himself. And you know, Donald Trump's an opera singer. Were you aware of that?
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, sure. You ever listen to him speak?
Yeah, well, I've heard him speak.
He gets up, he's standing in front of the podium. He goes up to the microphone. He goes, me, 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 me. It's Donald Trump. But he thinks because he's in love with himself, okay? I mean, I hate to say this, but even Melania doesn't go for his bullshit anymore. She's not going to move back into the White House.
Oh, really? So, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I read that. I thought that's cool. Okay, so we've got a really interesting situation. I will tell you, we have the most dangerous cabinet in world history. Okay, because these people think attacking Iran is a great idea. They think bombing the shit out civilians in Lebanon is a great idea. They think that long-range missiles into Russia, that's no big deal. Let's talk about the relative power of Israel versus Iran. Who's the most powerful?
Well, I'd say Israel.
Really?
Theoretically. I mean, I would say Israel because they have the back end of the whole world.
Oh, really? Okay. In the attack on April 2nd, Iran gave notice in advance that they were going to fire missiles and rockets at Israel, and they were absolutely legal within the rules of international war. They let the entire world know what they were going to do and when they did it. And they launched about 300 missiles and rockets, 95% of which were shot down. Mm. Who won that battle?
The Iranians?
Actually, they did, because there's some information that I know that I didn't tell you. Okay. It cost the Iranians $100 million to attack Israel. It cost what I'm going to call the allies, and this includes the United States, the UK, France, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel. It cost them $5 billion.
$5 billion. What, the defensive system?
Exactly. Okay.
What's it? The Iron Dome, right?
Which doesn't work, by the way.
Well, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Or it's 95% effective.
Well, strange enough, you just hit the nail on the head accidentally. When I was a kid, of course, I was born in 1946, and there were still a lot of things being written about World War II, because World War II had been a really big deal. And I remember reading in a magazine or a book when I was, 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, something like that. It took 250,000 bullets to kill one enemy soldier. How many of those bullets actually count?
So wait, it took 250,000, but so for every 250,000 bullets made, there was one death. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So of the 250,000, how many of those actually mattered?
Well,
One. Okay, because what's the purpose of shooting at somebody? You want to hit them.
Yeah.
Okay, so Iran attacked 3 targets. How many did they hit?
All 3, maybe? I don't know.
All 3. Okay. Now, nobody in the West wants to analyze it correctly because it's too terrifying. The balance of power in the Middle East shifted 180 degrees on April 2nd. Now, the strange thing is the Americans know it, the Israelis know it, French know it, UK knows it, Saudi Arabia knows it, Jordan knows it, and Iran knows it, and everybody's pretending, no, Israel's still the big dog. No, they're not. Israel got beat by the Houthis, okay? The Houthis have brought Israel's economy to a standstill, okay? And these guys are running around in sandals and cloth caps. So, the situation has changed. The world doesn't want to admit it yet. The United States has B-52s that appear to be loaded with nuclear weapons in the Middle East right now and in Europe right now. You might want to think about the ramifications of that.
Hey everyone, thanks for making it right the way to the end of the podcast. I love that you tuned in this long. Do me a favor, hit subscribe, because 80% of you bastards are not subscribing, but you're watching my videos. See you next time.